Hey Janice, how you been?
Hey Inga, I am doing well. How is the heat treating you?
Oh, it's been definitely fun. It's definitely been hot. I know I'm wearing a sweater, but it's still really cold in our house, so we gotta keep a sweater on at
Right.
all times.
We've been getting a lot of rain, so I'm out here in Maryland and they have a tropical storm Debbie going up the East Coast. So thankfully, not a whole bunch of wind, but we've been getting rain, which has been fabulous because all summer it's just been dry, 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 and our lawns are lying over here. So
Oh yeah,
definitely appreciating the rain for a change.
no, that's great. I'm glad you are getting rain. We need it more over here, but we're in the monsoon season. Are you in that too?
Hurricane season, which just seems to be getting longer and expanding further and further up the coast, which is crazy.
Wow,
So
yeah, that's scary.
it is. What's scary are when you hear on the news that there's sharks in our local ocean where you go. I'm like,
Oh
I
no,
used to love snorkeling and stuff like that, but now I'm afraid to get in the water, Inga.
I would be too. We actually just got done watching the whole Shark Week, Shark Fest, and all that.
Okay.
And I'm not too thrilled about any sharks and how they hurt people. I don't think I'm
Right,
going
right,
anytime soon in the ocean.
right. And that's the thing, because I love the ocean. I love snorkeling and not anymore.
Oh yeah,
Not anymore.
I betcha. You just now sunbathe on the beach,
My book.
right?
Book and my drink and I'm good to go.
That's the best way to go.
Right. And that's the thing, because I love the ocean, but my kids, especially my son, they would just rather just hang out at the pool. And I'm like, we have a pool back home. Not often we're at a beach. So like get into that ocean water.
It is different. It's definitely, I haven't been to the beach for so long because I moved out of California back in 2000. And so I haven't seen, I used to go to Santa Cruz Beach, boardwalk and stuff like that. So it was
Right,
nice.
right, right. So has your son had a beach experience yet?
No, he hasn't actually. I wish he
Okay.
did. We're hoping to go to California sometime another year, or some kind of beach in Florida, because that's where my husband's actually from. It's Florida, and
Okay.
so we're trying to figure out a way to get the kiddos to go see the beach. My daughter
Mhm.
did actually got to see the beach a long time ago. It's called Sandy Beach. It's like a
Okay.
lake here in Las Vegas. It
Okay.
looks like a beach though. It's pretty cool. And so
Nice.
when she was younger, she actually thought it was a beach. She's like, "Oh, this is so cool." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's actually a lake." It's still.
Nice. Nice.
So, what would you like to share about your son's journey with autism?
So I guess I will just start with, learning that he was on the spectrum. I have two older children. So my eldest about to be 23 and 20.
Wow.
So to, find out 10 years later that, expecting, I'm like, gosh darn it, I was at the halfway mark of being an empty nester. And, kids were at the age where they could leave them at home while I, run to the supermarket.
Mm,
But then here comes my son, and just husband was grateful that there was some testosterone in the house. So our son was very easygoing, hitting all the different milestones. But definitely, I realized that there was something off. I
mm,
just couldn't figure out what was going on. Said I had girls, so boys and girls mature, differently. So it's like, well, maybe it's just because he's a boy, and they say boys mature a little slower than girls.
mhm,
But then just noticing, like, I think he started walking at 11 months, but it was the language is what really captured my attention. And again, comparing to my daughters who both had, full vocabularies, time they were about 18 months.
mm,
And whereas my son just, words here and there, and my husband didn't really think much about it. And, mother's intuition, something there, but it's really just putting your finger on what's going on. And, first indication was when we had put him in I guess he must have been about 3 or 4. And one of the teachers said he, meltdown. And it was like, our son doesn't have meltdowns. He was in a home daycare
yeah.
environment from about 7 months until we put him into this pre-K program, which I think he was about maybe 3.5 or 4 when we put him in there. So that was like the first step where it's like, okay, something going on here.
Mhm.
And like I said, the main thing was the speech. So we have a program. I don't know if it's prevalent across the US, but it's called an infants and toddlers program.
Mm,
And it's run through the state. So it's like, well, let's go get him evaluated. And they actually said, go ahead and start him with speech services. So like they're working with him, I think it was like once or twice a week, the speech therapist would come and work with the language, just really expanding his vocabulary. That was the big thing for me. And then just noticing like he didn't like loud noises.
Mm.
So it's like, okay, over the years, you hear about children having, being on the spectrum and some of the things that symptoms, and like he was checking the box, not making eye contact, the limited vocabulary, not liking loud noises. So we ended up getting tested. I think he must have been about 5 where we got the actual diagnosis. And, of course, it's you sort of want to say it's heartbreaking.
Mhm.
You want your child to be what they say normal.
Yeah.
But it was just, okay, what is this journey going to be like for us now that we have this diagnosis?
Mm.
And, big proponent of early intervention. So I come from a family of teachers on both sides, my mom and dad's side. So it's like, all right, let's get as many resources available to him as we can. So we put him in a more intensive speech program. We had him do OT. That was the other thing. Not being able to tie a shoelace or struggling to put the buttons. So we put him in OT. We got him into ABA services. Just, again, just doing everything but the kitchen sink to just make sure that, had everything that he was going to need to be successful.
Mhm.
And again, he was in the pre-K program. He was there through kindergarten. And then, husband wanted to put him into public school. And, that was like a source of debate for our family. And I don't know, that's, prevalent with other parents that you've spoken with, where one parent wants one thing for their child and, the other parent wants a different avenue. So, it caused a lot of issues. We ended up, moving forward with putting him in public school for first grade. My husband was like, well, he can have, resources that the school can provide, placement on the IEP program. And it's like, again, I come from a family of teachers, Inga, and I know the public school system, only so much they can do, the other kids in the classroom, what challenges they're having. So, I'm in public school. It was probably been about maybe 35 kids in first grade, 37 for second grade. And yes, at the IEP, yes, they were checking the boxing. We gave him this, he, got this, he got pull out. But again, your child. And, just because they say they're meeting the requirements of an IEP, whether or not your child is really receiving the support that he needs. And then came COVID, which, for, bad as it was, and, lost family members during the pandemic, but, it's a blessing in disguise because the school system went to virtual learning. So he was, I guess, ending second grade, going into the third grade and virtual learning. And at that point, it was when my husband realized, okay, this isn't working because, being put in front of a Chromebook, he would be playing in the chat. So, either my husband or I would have to sit next to him. Mind you, we're both working at the same time. So we did that for the balance of second grade, and then third grade, it was still virtual learning again. And my husband finally realized that this isn't working for our son. So we actually reached out to an independent school that had just formed. It was a place where he was doing summer camp for the last previous summers. It was a science and yoga class camp. And they had just launched an independent school. So I ended up reaching out to the administrator. It was like right before Thanksgiving. I'm like, guys still have space. And they're like, yes, bring him. And he's been there ever since. So he was there for third grade. He's now entering seventh grade. And it's a regular school. It's just a smaller school setting. It's a total of about 52 students. It's a small building. So I tell folks it's sort of like a Montessori program, if you can envision that, where you meet the child where they're at. So, you have a child that's in third grade, but doing the fifth grade math and the like. And he's just been flourishing ever since, need for IEP, got rid of all the therapies that he was doing. We did maintain the speech, which we took a break from for the summer. He's developed a stutter, which I don't know where that's coming from. So trying to get that under control. And like I said, the school has just met him, meets his needs. So, result of the work that they've done with him, like he's been teaching himself Spanish. And it's like, would he have been doing that in a public school setting? Not at all. He loves to build, and he was into Legos and specific Legos, the Super Mario sets, and now he's turned over to the Sonic the Hedgehog sets. And it's like, with the Super Mario. The end was in sight, Inga, because he told me like they're retiring Super Mario. So it's like, great, I can start saving some money because for those that have kids that love Legos,
Oh yeah.
they're not cheap and
Oh
like
no.
they never go on sale.
Yeah, that is for sure. Yes.
And like, it's like great. He's like, tiring Super Mario. So it's like, good, finally, I can save some money. I can get my living room back because our living room is just full of these
Yeah.
villages. And then he tells me, but guess what? They have Sonic. So now we're in the Sonic phase and it's just more Sonics coming out. And we just went and bought 2 more last week. I was like, I thought I was here saving some money because he actually started building out of cardboard.
Oh
So
well.
he's been building Sonic characters and he just looks at the picture on the computer on his iPad and then starts building. And this has really saved me some money because I just go to Michael's. He needs cardboard. It's like $3.
Mhm.
Paint was like $5. And that's how he has actually been occupying his summer. So he probably has about 35 of these cardboard creatures and they've like taken over his bedroom, Inga. So it's like the Legos are in the living room, the Sonic characters in his bedroom. I'm like, yeah, it's great, but it's like, I have like no room. But it keeps his interest. It, keeps him out of my hair, more importantly, so I can
Mhm.
work. And
Yeah.
like I said, it's just been a blessing. So like I said, he's 12 and a half now. He'll be 13 in January. He's entering 7th grade. So we're in the middle school era. And like I said, life is good. I would never have imagined when we first got that diagnosis that we would be where we are right
Mhm.
now. And just to feel comfortable that, he will be able to live independently
Yeah.
and to take care of himself. So, like I said, I have nothing but gratitude right now.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, how a lot of people are, think of the worst, but then, the outcome does actually come out good. You just gotta, keep thinking like, okay, it's gonna pass, the storm's gonna pass. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. And so that's how I feel.
Right, definitely.
Days pretty much changes, within a day or a week or a month or something like that, just gotta work with them.
Right. And that's the key, just working with him, staying invested and making sure he's in a place where, he can get that support that he needs.
Mhm.
And, blessed privilege that we can afford to put him, like I said, in private school. Not everyone has that
Mhm.
flexibility and option, but just really tapping into those resources that are out there.
Mhm.
We had an autism center in our county. It actually closed down during the right after, that's 2021, 2022 and it was free. Just the resources that are out there. And I tell parents just see what is out there. There is so much out there, but we just don't know.
Exactly.
And you don't know, you don't know.
Mhm.
But yeah. And it's just, having those conversations. Sometimes we don't want to let others know, that, have a special needs child, but
Yeah, that is
how to get the word out there so that you can get access to resources that you just don't know exist.
yeah. I agree. Yeah, I'm pretty much doing my podcast, to help with resources, help with awareness, help with just sharing your journey. Just
Yeah.
sometimes you just gotta get your stuff off your chest too.
Right.
Because you're not allowed to do that all the time. You're not allowed to actually have a safe place to talk about whatever you needed to about your child and about what's going on. You're just like, whoa, who's gonna listen to me? And
Right.
I'm here. I'm here to listen to you. I'm here to let you talk about the good, the bad, everything in between.
Right. And the other thing I like to say about, my son is that, to say he's my why. Like, why do I do what I do? Background is I used to be a practicing attorney, but I was working crazy hours. So, till 8 o'clock at night, having to take my laptop with me on vacation. And once I started having my children, I'm like, I can't do this.
Mhm.
My kids were growing up in daycare. And I'm like, that's not the purpose of having children
Yeah.
if someone else is going to be raising them. And gave me the strength to leave practicing law, do HR. I have my own business now where I can work from home. And it was just having that I needed to be here for my son to make that change. And it was scary because I was going from a 6-figure income to now having to make my own money and to be able to provide. But again, just having him as the focus as, why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm, business now doing well. I'm able to work from home. So, I'm here with him while he's building his characters all summer. I didn't have to put him in camp. I could have, but it's like, no, he can stay home with me for the summer. And it's just great that I was able to, that decision that, to be the one that's raising him. So that meant making some changes to my career path.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, that's very awesome that you're able to do that. A lot of people don't get that, flexibility to be able to do that, but we do have to figure out ways, to work from home if you want to, or
Right.
gotta work around it, see how you can do it.
Exactly. And, the saying goes, where there's a will, there's a way.
Hmm.
And, sometimes you think there is no way, but if you think long and hard, there's always going to be a way to make it work and to be so that you can be with your child, especially for those that are younger, that are, are at home, or, they're school age, to be able to work a job where you can be home when they come off the bus or walk home from school.
Yeah, no, there's always a way. Mine
Yeah.
to it, pretty much.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, did you want to share like a proudest moment you want to share about your son?
Proudest moment. So I think I may, if I'd mentioned it already, but the fact that he's been teaching himself Spanish. So again, I chalk it up to the school and his teachers just really helping him want to learn and not just go to school to take a test and do homework, but really understand what it means to be a critical thinker, what it means to actually understand what you're doing, and just to develop that creativity in him. And it's at 2 years, it's going on 2 years. He just started studying Spanish using this program, Duolingo. I
Yeah.
don't know how he found the program, but every night before he goes to bed, he's doing his lessons. And, I'd be out late and then we're coming home and he's like, I've got to do my lessons. So, say that's definitely one of my proudest moments. One is currently doing Kung Fu. So it's not something necessarily that he like really wanted to do,
Mhm.
but the fact that he was open to doing it and continuing with it. He's going into his third year now in Kung Fu. And not a matter of, gosh, I have to get dressed to go, but he's checking the time. We have Kung Fu Tuesdays and Thursdays, and he started Tai Chi earlier this year on Saturdays. So he knows the time that class starts. He's getting himself together and, rushing me for his dad to, we got to go. I don't want to be late. I don't want to be late.
Yeah,
So just to see that independence in
yeah. So he
him,
actually enjoys it. Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's a bit of a stretch, but because what he really wants to do is parkour. And I don't know if you're familiar with parkour.
No, I haven't
It's
heard of
it's,
that.
it's sort of like, you're familiar like Ninja Warriors, like
Oh,
gymnastics where they're climbing and jumping. And that's what he would really want to do. But the closest parkour place is like 40 minutes away
mm,
from our house. I was like, I don't see myself traveling 40 minutes 2, 3 times a week, especially once it gets winter time and it gets dark early. So we're still with Kung Fu until a closer parkour gymnastics place opens up for him to switch to. But the fact that he's, consistent, he's staying with it, proud about that.
that's great. Yeah. No, good. I mean, because then that just tell him it's a stepping stone.
Yeah.
And he'll
Yeah.
finish this one up. He can do, maybe we'll think about going to the next.
Right. Yes. And my goal hopefully is that he sticks with it till he gets his black belt in Kung Fu. And then, I could see him teaching some, gets older, teaching the younger kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that'd be fun. I mean, that'd
Yeah.
be, a good thing for him to do.
Yeah.
I actually want to get my son into that kind of thing too, but it's just, I don't know if my son will actually do it or not.
You're right. And that's the thing, because there are times when he wanted to quit and his instructor, well, you're not a quitter.
Mhm,
Really good because it helps with focus, it helps with meditation
mhm.
and mindfulness. So, those things just really, I think, are helping to build him as an individual and his character.
Yeah, believe it. Yeah. Do you want to also introduce yourself to the audience? And tell them what
Yes, okay, yes, I didn't even do that. So my name is Janis Thom. I am what we love to say, money making Maryland. I'm a former attorney, no longer practicing. My 9 to 5 job is in HR, so I do human resources, dealing with disciplinary actions, performance management, all the grimy stuff that happens when you're at work, sexual harassment,
Yeah.
investigations, layoffs. Unfortunately, that's part of my portfolio of work that I do in
Mhm.
my 9 to 5. And then I also run a business. And I don't know, Inga, if you're familiar with LegalShield, but what we do
However,
is provide, access to attorneys for individuals, families, and small business owners. So, at times, don't feel they can afford an attorney. And a lot of times they can't because the hourly rate is $200, $300, $400 an hour.
well,
And service allows you to have that access to an attorney for as little as $30 a month. So a lot of times people think, kind of attorney are you going to get for $30 a month? but it's really a subscription-based model where it's your $30, it's my $30. So cumulatively, the law firm is getting over like $1 million a year to service LegalShield members. So I've been involved with LegalShield going on 22 years. And that's one of the reasons that has allowed me to stay at home with my son, to leave being an attorney. Because as I mentioned, being an attorney, it was very taxing. I was gone all the time, coming in late. I had court cases. I'd have to take my computer with me on vacations. But with LegalShield, it allowed me to get my time back and again to be home with my son, because this is a business that I build, from home, computer with people that I know, because everyone needs to have access to an attorney. Thankfully, I have never had to have an attorney come into the school system, but here's stories of children being bullied, or children on an IEP or a 504, and the school isn't meeting the needs of the IEP, and you want to have an advocate or an attorney, but you just can't afford it. So this is an option where you can actually have that access to an attorney that can help you through those type of situations that may be impacting you or your family. So it's like I'm on a mission to let people know that there are attorneys out there that can help you. Because a lot of times you have like pro bono services or public aid, but those are for people that basically are living at the poverty level. And for the rest, income Americans, well, we don't make enough in our day-to-day to be able to have an attorney on retainer, but we make too much to be able to afford to qualify, quote unquote, for legal aid. And that's what LegalShield is about. It's to really help those folks in that middle ground where you can actually have the same type of access as the rich and famous. So it's like, I love just letting people know about the service. It's nationwide. It's in Canada as well. And, I'm really blessed to be able to protect over 1,000 families with these services. That's what I do. And like I said, it allows me to be home if, to take my son to the park in the middle of the day or to go hiking, and then just be able to get back on the computer from the luxury of my home and my business, and just have the resources to do things with him and for him.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's definitely, every parent's goal, try to do.
Yeah. So that's about it. And so my eldest daughter, she's on her own getting her master's in social work. My middle one, she's down at the University of Miami studying to be a physical therapist, and she has her own baking business. And it's interesting, she actually had a fellowship this past school year where she was having to like dissect fish brains.
Oh, wow.
Because there was something they were doing with looking for the autism gene. It was so interesting. And she ended up presenting her stuff in New York last April. So, it's amazing that, the things that they're doing in science as it relates to autism.
Yeah.
So
interesting. Yeah. I mean, especially trying to find in a fish.
I know, exactly. Who knew? So I was like, you hear about mice, but I never knew about fish. But they were working with the fish this past year, and she's actually going back again this year. They invited her to do the fellowship again this year, so she's really excited about that.
Wow.
And it doesn't hurt that they pay $7,500 for the year.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did actually hear about, I guess they're saying that their dogs can have autism now, though. I don't know.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, I was hearing about that because I was actually looking up something about, I forgot what it was, but I think, about a reference to dogs or something like that. Came across, and something was saying, oh yeah, does your dog have autism? I'm like, what?
I'll have to look that up. I have never heard that, but they get cancers and everything else that we get. So
yeah, so I was just like amazed. Wow, now they're saying dogs have autism. I mean, I guess it makes sense. I mean, that would explain my dogs.
How many dogs do you have?
Oh, I had two, but I had to put them down. Like one I had to put down about 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. And then my other one I had to put down when I was pregnant with my son. So,
got you.
But I had them, they're like kids, basically, little family members. And so, I mean, it is pretty hard.
Yeah, my son's into cats, so he's like obsessed with cats. And it's like, I'm afraid of cats, Inga, but I keep telling him we'll get one, but I don't know. I'm just afraid of being scratched. If I can get over that, I think I'll be okay. I just don't want to be scratched.
So you don't have any animals either right now?
And I tried to get him to get a goldfish, but he's like, you can't do anything with a goldfish. You can look at it.
Yeah, you can feed it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think we might go the fish route too pretty soon here.
Yeah.
Like saltwater fish.
I mean, I love aquariums. I mean, I've never had one, but I think they're just so fantastic.
Mhm.
And once I start making the big butts, I'm going to get like a huge one where I can hire someone to come and clean the tank every week for me so I can just look at the fish all
There
day.
you go. You don't do freshwater or saltwater?
I don't know. I haven't gotten that far in the analysis. I just know I like to look at them.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Which
But
one is
they're really
easier to maintain?
depends on the tank, I think. I mean,
Okay.
we've had tanks, throughout the years, and I mean, my husband, he does it, of course. He does all the tank cleaning and all that stuff. So I mean, I just enjoy it. He
Mhm.
enjoys cleaning them and keeping them nice and pretty and stuff like that. So
Nice.
therapeutic, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I want to just get it and just be able to just look at it, let my mind drift.
Yeah, exactly. It's great having you as a guest. I mean, a conversation and getting to know you and your son better. And
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And it was a pleasure meeting you, I guess, maybe 2 or 3 months now, and just
yeah,
getting the opportunity to just share my journey and just,
yeah.
hopefully, I've inspired somebody, touched somebody with my story. And, if anyone ever wants to get in contact with me, Inga, you have my information, please share it.
And also, I'll include it in the description also, so they can also
Okay.
and have a little bio for you and stuff like that. So they can just
Okay.
get to know you and be able to reach you out.
All right. Well, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Inga, for your time.
Thank you. Bye,
All
Jen.
right. Bye-bye.